Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast, transforming the way leaders communicate. Here's your host, Alex Swire-Clark.
Welcome to the show. It's not Halloween, but I thought it would just, kind of engage you. Normally we're all cheerful and happy, but I thought I would scare you. So if you're on that morning commute, wake up, people.
Oh, you did it. You did it for me, Alex.
We are excited to have you on the Rapport Advantage podcast with us today. If you haven't listened to our podcast before, we're here to help you break down the walls of miscommunication, increase your emotional intelligence, and build better relationships in the workplace and beyond.
No way.
Yes way. Yes way. Yes, we are. I am Alex Swire-Clark, CEO, speaker, and certified human behavior expert.
And I'm Liz Parker. I'm certified behavioral analyst, a strategic growth consultant, job benchmarking whiz, and Vistage chair in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. This show is all about you. We're continuing to get lots of good feedback, both in person and online. So we want you to continue to give us that feedback. You can find us on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage, on Twitter at Rapport Podcast, or visit the website at rapportadvantage.com. We're on Spotify, Google Play Music. Follow us. Subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And please leave us your thoughts, questions, and concerns about emotional intelligence. We will help you.
Yay, love the idea.
We're here for you.
What are we talking about today, Alex?
We are talking about the fourth part of our four-part series on leading styles and the best way to lead those folks. And so today's episode is for the C styles. Those quiet, reserved types that are all about facts and figures. And we love them because they bring order to our chaos.
They do, don't they?
They do. And so we're going to talk about the 10 best ways to lead high C styles. And so we'll talk about our environmental needs first, as we've done in the past. And then we'll talk about the ways that they respond to a leader. They respond best to a leader who blanks. So that's kind of the format we'll follow. So Liz, kick us off with our first environmental need.
I would love to. So high C's like the clearly defined tasks and explanations. So whenever they're in an environment, they want to know exactly what's expected of them. They want to make sure that they are clear, that the boundaries are clear around what they need to be doing, and that they're able to really fulfill the task the way that they believe they should. That's, to me, it's just straight and direct. There's not a whole lot more you have to know.
That's right. And so like when you're taking a trip with a high C, and I have a high C wife, for those of you who are new to the show, very high C wife. On a scale of 100, she is 100. So when we're trying to plan a trip, it's not about all the fun things we're going to do. It's about, okay, who's picking up the kids after school? Who's going to get them to their music lesson? Who's going to get them to the performance later on that day? Who's going to get them to church? Do we have enough clothes? Is there clean underwear in the drawer? All that kind of good stuff. So who's got the tickets? Where are we going? That thing. So it's all about a task-oriented type of situation. So from a work perspective, they need that environment says, okay, you've got tasks 1 through 7 that have to be done today, and here's what you need in terms of the explanation that backs that up. So,
and that just makes me think that's why job descriptions are so critical to them, because those tasks need to be listed out clearly so they understand what's in their role.
That's correct. That's correct. So whereas a high I might look at a potential job description for a job they're applying for and say, oh, this sounds like fun. The C is going to be the opposite of that. They're not worried about the fun. They're working about what exactly am I going to be asked to do, because I'm going to be performing and someone's going to evaluate me on that. So,
exactly. So
that's a huge thing. And again, that's why we go back to job benchmarking again. Liz, is what you do. And that's why when we get folks in a role where they can be successful, we have to clearly define it on the front end.
Yep, that's exactly true.
Awesome. Okay, so number 2 from an environmental need is sufficient time and resources to accomplish tasks. So whether that be going old school and say, I need a phone and fax machine and a planner and all that kind of good stuff, to now, you need the internet, you need all these different pieces of software, apps, those kind of things. And you also need the time to do that. So where a D is going to be high speed, let's get it done, let's go fast, those C's are going to be slowing down, they're going to be more methodical, they're going to be more cautious, that whole measure twice and cut once type of thing. So you have to give them time. They'll get it done, and they'll get it done with perfection in mind. But
yes.
You've got to give them the time and the resources to get that done.
And I think that's the whole message in there too, because they do everything to the best that they can, and they are all about being perfect in addition to that.
It's a struggle as a husband.
Well,
sweetie, the laundry looks great, but you folded the towels backwards. Seriously? Come on, man.
Folding instructions.
Exactly. Well, there's three. They have to be folded like 3 times. Anyway.
Well, then let's talk about the environmental need for number 3 is establish work patterns. So my guess is also you've in your house, you've also got to have a time in the week when the actual wash gets done, when other things happen. People that are high C like to have that established work pattern where they know in a routine oriented area, I do this first, I do this second, this is when we do this. They probably love that regular staff meeting schedule. They like to know exactly where they have to be at what time so they can work it into their day and make it fit for them.
Spontaneity is not in their nature. They can be if they have the tools to get that done. But if you walk into their office and say, hey, we're meeting in 15 minutes. I know it's unannounced, but we got to go because we got an issue come up. That's going to throw them off because at 9:15, they're supposed to be working on their chart. So they're supposed to be working on that spreadsheet that they had planned because they've got their 42 tasks already planned out and laid out for the day. So give them an established work pattern. Again, we talk about, from a time management perspective, building in what we call gotta minutes into your calendar so that if you're a leader, you can build that time in for folks to be able to, quote, interrupt you. Well, they're not interrupting you because you've set aside those time periods for people to come in and bring their ideas and thoughts and concerns.
And one last piece on this for the established work pattern is they also don't do well in a bullpen. These high Cs need to have some private work area because that's the way they think. They need to have that quiet space so that they can actually get internal and think with their brain. So just part of that work pattern is they like to have that quiet space as well.
So Liz, what would a work environment from the structure look like? I mean, is an office, a cubicle? How does that look?
If they can have a private office, they'd be in heaven. But if they do have to be in a bullpen situation, you've got to put them off to the side. You got to put them off somewhere else. You stick them right in the middle, they are going to be so uncomfortable. They will not be able to think. It'll just be too much other stuff going on, too much drama. They have to be off to the side. They have to be in not even a quiet space, but a more isolated space.
Because the last thing they want is to have the high eyes peeking over the top of the cubicle.
What are you doing?
What you doing? What you doing? Because we're known for doing that. We got to socialize. I mean, every 10 minutes we got to take a break and find out what's going on in the rest of the office because it's not enough that we have to take care of our own work. We got to find out what everybody else is doing. So,
No doubt.
Busted.
Yeah, we're busted. That's how we live, though. Okay, so number 4 on our list of environmental needs is limited risks. So they're going to be in an environment from a situation of don't put them in charge of having to make a decision that's going to negatively potentially impact the company. So give them tasks, items, things that they can do within their job that are going to be performance-based, but yet are going to add value without, saying, oh my gosh, if I get this wrong, 40 people are going to be fired. Or if I get this performer wrong, we're going to tank profitability. We're going to be down 20% this year as opposed to maybe up 5%. So that's pretty scary for them. Want to limit the risks that they have in terms of decisions they have to make within the parameters of their day-to-days.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to say it too. I mean, that's the given.
That's right.
So number 5 in our environmental needs is assignments that require planning and precision. They are absolutely in heaven if you can give them some kind of a project where they can sit down, really think through it, lay it out, see exactly from the start to the finish what needs to happen and be able to add all the details and all the little intricacies that go with it. So project planning can be just a delight for them. Anything to do as far as an accountant goes with having to look at the numbers and how that all fits together. Those assignments that require that kind of precision and planning just makes their day. The rest of us might be suicidal with it, but man, they are in heaven.
That's right. So that you bring the high eyes in for that project, or for the creative side, for the think outside the box. And then once you've got a plan in place or once you've got a basic rough outline, then the C's can jump in there and they can build or they can provide the structure for it. So that's where they kind of get their geek out going on, is to provide the structure around that. And here's how we can execute that. And then the
tables,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Tables,
pivot tables and charts and spreadsheets. And, well, if we follow this plan, in Q7, we're going to have this going on. Obviously, this is a Q7, but, we'll have this going on and up by 15.3%. And it'll be, and we factored in these, 10 variables into the equation. I'm like, I just want it to look pretty.
And if you're looking for a gift idea, give them Excel.
Yes. Or what's Google Sheets now is I guess what people
that's
are doing the online thing. So a lot of people are getting away from that whole Microsoft thing. Not that there's anything wrong with Microsoft, but a lot of people are like, oh, Google Sheets because I can get to it on my phone anywhere, anytime. And so, yes. So you're right. Give them a calculator. It used to be give them a pocket protector.
That's right.
Yeah, but now all of our pens and pencils now don't have ink coming out of them. They're tipped so that we can use them on our tablets. So
That's right. Very cool.
Where are the good old days with the avocado phones with the long stringy cords and stuff? You could extend 25 feet off the wall. Those were the days. We're not going back there, people. We're moving forward. Okay, so moving on. We're now talking about the 10 best ways to lead high C styles, and they're going to respond best to a leader who follows the rules. They don't like the gung-ho, maverick, take charge leader who says, well, we're doing it like this because I said so. Well, wait a minute. We've got policy 22A-3 says we should do X. Policy schmolicy. We don't need to worry about that. So they're going to respect and be motivated by a leader who follows the rules.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Point of order. We're not allowed to,
Busted.
That's right. Now, Section 6, yeah, so.
Well, and that follows clear with number 7, too. They respond best to a leader who thinks logically, because if you have a high C working for a high I, it's not going to go really well. You've got to have somebody who has structure in their brain, knows that step 1 is followed by step 2. You don't jump around and go step 8, then back up to step 2. You've got to go in the logical order. So flow charts, if you think in a flow chart, if you think in structure of any kind, the high C will respond to a leader who really can deliver their information that way. And they'll be much more productive.
Absolutely. And our corporate structure, the way our org chart works is my direct report is our director of operations, and she is the very high intellectual, very high C person that most of our folks work with on a day-to-day basis. And I hire a lot of high Cs because in the medical billing world, you have to have those people that are structured, detail-oriented. You don't want someone who's going to be, spacing out all the time or shiny object syndrome when you're trying to deal with numbers and math and getting claims paid. That's never a good thing. So I, as the leader of the company, am the high I, the inspirer, but I surround myself with high Cs who are a part of our leadership team that our other folks on our staff can relate to and work with because they're thinking the same way they are.
So I bet you're a little tired at the end of the day having to adapt to all those styles.
No, I'm never tired. I've got caffeine. No, I don't drink caffeine. So my high C person, Ginger, she just cracks the whip on me and I just keep going.
Oh, very nice. Well, tell us about number 8.
Number 8 is providing an open door policy. Now, this may seem kind of interesting because, high Cs don't really offer a lot in terms of their normal day-to-day, speaking patterns and things like that. They're pretty reserved, so they're going to keep to themselves. But when they have a leader who has an open door policy, they're not afraid to go in and offer suggestions about how they can improve things or how things can change because they're looking at the situation, okay, we have a situation. How could it be better? Mm-hmm. How could we do even more? How can we squeeze more blood out of this turnip? So that's a great skill to have in terms of streamlining things and making things efficient. So when they have a leader who's got that open door policy, they're not afraid to say, hey, Bob, or hey, Sally, I've been working at this for about 6 months. We've got processes 1 through 7 on our line here to get this product out the door. If we tweak 6 just by a little bit, I think we can save 10% on the cost and drop 2% more to the bottom line. And here's my data to support that. And they will not just come in there with, well, so Jim, how do you come up with that? Well, I've just got a hunch. You'll never get just a hunch from a C. Yep. You're always going to have that data to support what their findings are. It'll be nice in a spreadsheet, and there'll be charts and graphs to support what they do. So that open door policy is huge for them to be able to help you as a leader in your company, get that project done more quickly or more efficiently and so forth.
They need to be able to know they can come in and test an idea. If they found some new information that really does help that situation they're working with or the project they're working on, they want to know they can walk in and test the concept.
They never want to hear, well, we don't do it because that's the way we've always done it. Well, that's like nails on a chalkboard for them. It goes, but I can see a way to make this better. internally.
Well, and once they've made it better, it takes us to number 9. They respond best to a leader who defines concise operating standards. So if you think about a situation with a leader, if they can put out what a standard operating procedure is, and they have worked with a high C, most likely to get that best practice, that's how I always think of that as the best practice, then that high C is going to be so productive being able to follow that standard operating procedure and figuring out what the standards are and how we excel each and every time. We have tested this, we've seen that it works, and this is what works best. So being able to lay that out for them, they will be superior performers for you. They will follow that to the last letter. And you won't have that in some of the other styles.
That's right. That's right. And for the C's, that generates a sense of quality amongst and equality amongst everyone. So we're all committed to excellence. We're all committed to giving that 110%. And so when you've got that definition across the board for everyone, then the C doesn't go, hey, wait. Why is Billy over there leaving, at 4:30 when the rest of us are supposed to be leaving at 5? Because the rule says ... But if there isn't one for those operating standards, then people can come in and go out. People can shave a little thing off of this process. They can do a little bit different here. And so we don't have consistency across the board. And we know how our high Cs love that consistency. So
consistency, key word right there, isn't it? It's making sure that there is that fairness all the way through. Great catch on that one, Alex.
Thank you, ma'am. And so wrapping up, we'll do number 10, and that is they respond best to a leader who is detail-oriented. They're not responding best to me because I am not... Oh, wait a minute. What? We were supposed to do... Oh, no. Oh, well, I totally forgot about that. So I'm just going to leave right now. Come on, Silver. And I'm out of there. So, but yes, from a detail-oriented perspective, that's what they're all about anyway. They're big picture thinkers to a point in terms of the process, but then they dive down and deeply and say, okay, what is the smallest element of which we can start to build this process the right way? So they like those bosses who pay attention to the details, to the finer things, because that's where these C's live on a day-to-day basis.
And I think of comprehensive in that description too. The detail-oriented just stretches out into all that, and it encompasses everything that needs to be considered.
Right. So you got a high D who just says, here's my goal, let's make it happen. And then the C goes, pardon me, sir. Why are we doing this in the first place? Once they get the why question answered, then they kind of shift over to that S mentality and go, okay, how do you want us to get that done? And so if the D says, I don't know, I hired you, I trained you, go. Heck no, man. I want to have details and structure. So that really bothers them. They said, well, okay, they want us to accomplish X, but they haven't given us any details as to the Y, Z, and then go back to A, B, and C.
That's right, because it leans right back up to you've just created an environment where there's high risk. They do not know if that's the right way. And so that's going to make them crazy. Nice way to wrap back up into that environmental need, Alex.
Well, you and I together get this thing done, and we tend to ping pong off each other very nicely. So,
we do.
So that's a good way to wrap it. So that's going to do it for today's show. I'd like to thank Liz, as always, for joining me. Liz, how can folks get in touch with you for job benchmarking or matching or strategic planning? We had a referral to you last week for some strategic planning stuff.
That's right. And thank you very much, because we know that you're very capable to do all those things as well. So they can get in touch with me, though, Liz at ltresults.com or at my website, ltresults.com. And Alex, I know they can get in touch with you, but before you tell us how the last workshop went that you did.
Oh, yeah. So we were down in Charleston working with 2 Vistage groups in greater Charleston area and had a blast. We're with a key group, which are those folks who are key support folks in an organization that report to a CEO. So we'll talk to those folks as well as a group of CEOs. Went fantastic. Talked to them about emotional intelligence and clarity concerns and how best to read people and build rapport from a sales perspective or just in relationships in general. So had a fantastic time.
Great. I'm glad to hear it. I heard great reports from it, so I just wanted to pass that on.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. To get in touch with me, visit therapportadvantage.com. If you're interested in finding out what style you are or to get a personality picture of your entire team, head over to therapportadvantage.com. click on the Rapport Store tab, and the blue Rapport Store link will take you to the assessment page. Should take you about 10 to 15 minutes and offer a ton of insights into your specific style. The president of the South Carolina Make-A-Wish Foundation, we're working with them, and he was excited to get some reports for his staff, so we're going to be working with them later on in June, and he's fired up and excited about it to gain that clarity and better serve the children with who have wishes and needs in the state of South Carolina. So we're excited about that.
What a great cause.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's great. On our next podcast, we're going to look at the power of the voice and how you should and shouldn't use it. So that's going to be a great time. We've got a guest speaker, and we'll tell you about that lined up as we come in. So thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Rapport Advantage podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation on Facebook at the Rapport Advantage and follow us on Twitter at Rapport Podcast.